Welcome to the Four Rings Inn.
Woo!
Grab a drink and settle in. This is Innsight, the show where the storytellers of our campaign, City of Shadows, spill their secrets of the previous episode. We had our first encounter! Yay!
Yay!
Nobody died! Yay!
Thank God nobody died.
I will be your host for this episode. I'm John. With me is our barbarian without any rages, Victoria. Our fighter without any weapons, Aubrey. And our mage without any spells, Jacob. Let's get into it. We encountered our first Depraved of the campaign. Wonderfully named Nell by Renshaw.
I can't believe you did that.
Well, yeah, what was that like to get to see that for the first time?
That was terrifying. I don't know if Renshaw knew this or not, but I was not expecting it to be articulate. And so introducing itself was a surprise.
Jacob.
It did. Tell me it didn't.
It did speak words, and I don't think any of us were expecting like clear words to come out of its mouth, regardless of how
at least
or why
not for us level 1 characters to interact with.
We got at least a general name. I realize it's not a real name, but a general name and a title. He's the one who calls. So it's they got a whole society. Maybe we shouldn't be fighting these things. Maybe it's genocide.
Oh no.
Yeah. I think the scariest thing about it is every time we like encounter it, even though we don't like keep seeing it, but like every time we're on its trail, it keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
That's the worst
big
part.
Mystery.
And that's something that I don't think I was prepared for, at least, was that like I was like, oh yeah, Depraved or like in the woods, they're coming into the city, that's the scary part, got it. Now it's getting bigger and it's growing, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, what, 3 days? 4 days? It like went from a little glob
basically 2
to like a giant.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're assuming
golem
we're working under the assumption that it's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse here. One that just doubles in size every 12 hours, or
3 in the city.
I'm glad that got across to you guys. I feel like just having like an encounter quick isn't necessarily scary, but going through like multiple sessions and being like, oh shoot, it's getting bigger. Oh no, it's fun. But yeah, Jake naming it Nell was a real kick. I mean, I expected some of the NPCs to get dunked on their names, and so just as players do, I was not expecting the Depraved, the monsters to get cheesed on.
In my full defense,
yes,
I didn't change your name.
No, okay,
Hold on. I didn't even finish my sentence. I didn't change your name, and I genuinely thought his name was Nell. For the longest time, it took me until probably filming session 3 or 4.
Well, it was
4. Filming session 4 that I was informed that's not his name.
That's not his name.
I was too...
Eleanor kept saying, I don't think his name is Nell, and Renshaw was so insistent, like, no, he told me his name is Nell.
I mean, Renshaw was the only one that encountered it, so like... You have Renshaw's word. That's what you have to go off of. That monster told him.
Eleanor's insight is too high. She has a gut feeling that that's wrong.
She's like, you're not lying, but you're not right.
The next time all 3 of us encounter this monster, like, together, like, the first thing, like, I imagine is Renshaw being like,
no!
Clear an argument for us. Nell, right? It's Nell.
It's Nell, right. Hi, I'm Nell. I'll shake everyone's hand. Greetings.
I'm the one who calls.
When it came out, when we did the encounter, I debated using the name that I had come up with for that specific Depraved as like the monster type, and you called it Nell immediately, and I was like, I don't need to give it a name. I can call it Nell.
How is that not its name? Hold on. What
do
is that?
Do you remember what he said to you?
I guess not.
Did you take notes? Did you?
In vague form, I don't have my notes on me, but I think I literally wrote Nell, one who calls. Like, I think that's all I wrote.
I think I did say those words. I have to go find it.
Those words were in there.
The words were definitely to start, I am the Nell that...
Okay, but the Nell. So if his name isn't Nell, and his species isn't Nell, How many titles does this guy need?
He's
his
an
title
important
now?
guy.
Is he is now the priest of their
It's a
church?
metaphor.
How is that a metaphor? That is a gibberish word.
It's a real word.
You can't say gobbledygook and make that a metaphor.
I hunted
It has to
through.
be
I hunted
a
through
real word.
a couple different dictionaries and thesauruses to find a word I was looking for. And Nell's a real English word. I've never heard of it before.
Like, you just didn't listen to the whole statement.
I was the one in combat.
Speaking of combat, what would you guys have done if, because I know Aubrey, you had seen, or Eleanor had seen something in the bell tower of Asheville Cathedral and immediately went up to investigate. What would you guys have done if it was still there? If she's like, I think I see something scary in there, and then went in, you're like, oh yeah, there is something scary in there.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah, not at all.
That was not a thought that crossed my mind.
If that thought did cross my mind, wouldn't have gone.
I mean, the thought crossed my mind. I think we were in the tower, and you said something about looking up, and I was like, oh, fuck. Because, the same way that, when Jake looked up the first time, and I was like, oh, fuck. And you're like, no, I'm just kidding. And I was like, oh, my God. I didn't even think for a moment that it was, above us. And it totally could have been.
Yeah, it was... Aubrey immediately was like, we have to go investigate that. I was like, that is a bold move. I was like, you're right. It was a great call. But I was like, whoo, that is braver than me.
Yeah, the worst thing is that when I went into the first bell tower, I was prepared to run into someone, but I knew that she can be pretty sneaky, and then she's very persuasive. And so my tactic was just talk my way out of it. But running into the Depraved, I mean, they communicate apparently. I don't know if they will accept my bribe of shade marks, but but
You can try. Yeah.
I think my plan would have been to run.
Now that Florian's study has been cleaned and all the evidence has been swept away, what are your thoughts on the events involving the body of Lucille Swanchins? Do you guys have any thoughts on how the official investigation is being handled? Any theories on your end of what? Because you guys have collected way more evidence.
I feel bad that we tampered with both crime scenes a lot.
That's true.
And the first time I was I felt guilty about it, but I was like, Eleanor's doing it, that's on her. And I was like, we really shouldn't tamper with it, but if that's what she feels like we got to do, we'll do it. And then the second crime scene, I was like, it's my turn to tamper. I have to tamper with this one now. Now I get it. Now I see why Eleanor had to do it. Now it's my turn.
I haven't had that problem yet. I don't foresee myself tampering with a crime scene.
I didn't see myself tampering either.
Give it time.
And give it time. It'll come.
Aubrey with meta-knowledge.
Sure, yeah.
Is trying to connect, the different magic types and, the different involvements that could be going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Well, yeah, both crime scenes were crimes against both, different types of band magic.
Yeah.
The first one was very,
it was very archaic.
Archaic magic, all the depraved, and the second one was all, spheric, runic magic.
Yeah.
And so they were both very different, but also, connected in some way.
Yeah, but there was runes and stuff with the first one.
There was,
which is what got me, because I was like, okay, Eleanor was like, this was clearly, a witch came in here, maybe Lucille was actually a witch, that kind of thing. I don't know why, the witch would be altering these runes. And so then when it's okay, we're connected to this, doomsday Cinderfall thing.
Yeah.
Which one, or both? But, of course, Eleanor has no magic, so she's like, they're both fucked.
We saw a few new faces at the ceremony of bells. We met the high priest, Ilion.
Hot.
We saw so hot. We met Viscount Thornstrom. We met the figure in the maroon cloak. What are your first impressions of some of these very notable figures?
I immediately forgot who Thornstrom was.
Yeah, not clear.
At this moment, I'm I have no idea his relevance to what happened.
Gotcha.
Is he the one that made the bells turn he magicked them?
No, so the guy that magicked the bells was the high priest.
It was Ilion.
Yeah, Ilion did all the magic. Thornstrom is this Viscount that has made the new bells that are replacing the old ones.
Oh, he's making all the new bells.
He's making new bells.
Oh, he's more suspicious than I thought.
We should have wrote that down.
I should have wrote that down.
I think I did.
I don't think he's in my notes at all. I mean, I wrote about the bells,
Yeah.
but I did not put his name down.
I think I just put Viscount T because spelling on the cuff is impossible.
Who made Ilian Malak hot? Was that you or was that Eleanor?
That was not me. That was the Fairchild girl talking.
That
to
was me
Lee.
trying to come up with a conversation to have with Eleanor on the spot and trying to think of what gossip to pull out. And I was like, we haven't met the high priest yet. He's going to be hot now.
He's going to be attractive.
His charisma is through the roof. And I was like, it's because he's hot.
Hey, listen, I mean, if they're hot, they're hot. Like, you gotta respect it.
We also have a lot to unpack about the Temple of Ryan and the many things that happened in there. Deciphering the runes in the runic book for both you and Jake. You discovered the old Ethereum, the Vestra Onus. We went through that. Eleanor picked up Moorish myths from after watching May rip a page out of a book.
Most of Moorish.
The vast majority of Moorish myths.
Yeah.
The biggest crime of the campaign so far.
Seriously.
You guys were really mad about that.
Can you imagine, like, being in a church and someone just, like it's not the Bible, but it's, like,
The hymnal?
some, like, yeah,
Yeah.
something, and you're just, like, rip it. Like, we're in a fucking temple.
Yeah, could you imagine?
Like, we're not even at, like,
they're flipping through it and they stop and like, "Ooh, that's interesting," and just you're like, "Oh,
My
We
thing
could have made copies.
is that is that May was literally like, if I leave, will you make a scene? And I'm like, no, like, go, bitch. Like, you're fine. And then she rips a and I'm like, hold on.
And then Eleanor
Not what we
immediately
agreed
makes a
to.
scene.
I'm like
No,
ah."
because that's not what we agreed to. She's like, if I just leave, like, if I leave in peace.
That's not what she said. You're
Yes.
you're putting words in her mouth. She
Yeah.
said, "No matter how I
No,
exit this building,
That is
are
not,
you going to cause a problem?"
She did not say no matter how.
Yeah, but it
The
was
issue
implied.
is that I knew she wasn't supposed to be in the restricted section. I was like, how did you get up here? And she's like, hey, just let me leave. And I'm like, go off.
Yeah.
Get out. Like, you're fine. I don't care. And then we damaged property. But I did cover for her. I covered for her at the end, and I told the priest that I was like, never mind.
How'd you guys feel about getting attacked? Almost killed.
Yeah, that was like our first like big combat. Like
Yeah,
first, like I
the
know like
actual-
Renshaw was technically the first one, like an initiative, but like this one everyone was involved. It was a big combat. That
That
spooky.
was so nerve-wracking going in. Because, well, the biggest thing is that Jacob and I were like, Tori, you gotta get this. Like, you're the only one with a weapon. You have your Ashen Order outfit on. Like, you're gonna have to, like, pull the front for us.
Yeah, as soon as that session ended, you guys were like, "Yeah, you're gonna handle this, right?" And I was like, "No."
And then the first thing Oriana does is like, I'm gonna go
I'm gonna
by
do-
myself for a minute.
Hold up.
Which, like, made so much sense with her character. But then, like, we were, like, looking and we're like, I was like, I have a candlestick.
Yeah, I am in trouble.
None of
Yeah.
us have weapons. None of us have magic. We are ill prepared. And I had a sword on me, and I was just
Yeah.
like,
Renshaw went off with his book. You did a lot
did
of
good.
damage.
Yeah.
It was a good book.
It was a good
stout
book.
I think point
Yeah.
for point, I think you had the most damage done. Damage dealt.
I didn't
Yeah.
land a hit. So,
Well, you were holding a piece of wax, so
First part, I was just mostly grappling and stuff, and so I really wasn't dealing any damage.
You,
But
you
like
might have-
Renshaw, every turn.
yeah,
like,
you
just
might have
nailing
caught
someone.
up, but I think Jake
No.
took the cake on
landed
that.
the most hits for sure.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I'm still upset with myself. I didn't know that I could add 2 additional damage to every single attack.
Oh
I made.
yeah.
And you were fighting 2 guys over there. I mean, technically, like one was kind of distracted by Eleanor, so you were only fighting like one guy at a time. But you still handled both guys.
Yeah, you did good.
Well, I did like study combat in school.
That's true.
I think you did too. I mean, we all did.
I mean, I don't know if fencing recreationally in school is the same thing as like knowing what to do in a combat situation. Like, you know how to wield the weapon, but like how to use it like in that intense moment.
I will always carry my weapon on me.
I will always have my weapon.
Yeah.
Eleanor's always gonna have her dagger.
I'm just so worried that you're never gonna cast spells because you're gonna be like, Retro doesn't know it yet, and like,
But he doesn't. Like, he cannot
Are
read
you gonna
those
get me
books.
killed?
I don't know. Stop
'Cause
taking
you're
us
not
into dangerous
attacking.
situations. We could have gone to
We
this.
went to the fucking temple. What's dangerous about that? They were following your bitch ass.
They were following you, Renshaw.
Do you know why they're following you?
I haven't a clue. If I knew why they were following me, I'd stay at home.
Well, because it was a mage who came after you. So I feel like something that you won't tell us.
That's absurd. Like, that chest has been in that house for at least years. There is no way they'd know that I opened it, let alone that I found
No,
a fake bottom and have started practicing magic. Like, that doesn't add up.
but Granddaddy did the painting that signaled them where to get the whatever the hell. Maybe he was involved in their plot.
Mm.
You don't know how deep it goes. We're gonna switch it up, and I know all of us have some questions for each other to kind of dive deep into what is been going on. Aubrey, how do you think the Quillins are going to handle things both between the murder in the study and now the attack in Temple of Ryan? Like, what do you think their plans for safety or publicity? Like, what do you think they're gonna do?
For safety, I think we can keep increasing guards, but there's a certain point where it's like
The giant monster just eats them?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of guards. I do think that Eleanor played it off very well to her parents that the attack wasn't as bad as it seemed. Like, she was like, no, I just hid in the back and the priest did all the fighting.
That's
And
what we should have done.
Yeah.
but I think, like, publicly, because we can't hide this attack, it's very much going to be one of those things where it's like a tragic event happened. We put our faith in the Ashen Order to protect us.
Yeah.
Clearly, this was an unhinged event, and we just happened to be in the wrong spot. Like, publicly, they were not there to attack us. We just happened to be at the temple when this
Gotcha.
attack happened.
Are you worried about it becoming like a pattern? Well, I mean, we're both there for both events. Like, whatever the third time happens.
Third time's a
Eleanor
charm.
doesn't know she's the main character of this story.
That's fair.
Aubrey's worried for these events continuing to happen, but maybe we'll just spend, like, she'll just never be home so that way it can't happen at her house.
At her house? Interesting. That's the opposite of Reinshore being like, I'll just stay home. And it can't happen if I'm at home. She's like, no, I don't want it to happen at home. I gotta be out of the house.
Jacob,
Oh,
while
okay.
we're on the topic of combat, what was going through Renshore's mind during the combat? He did most of the attacking for the party with his big old book. And would he, if his hand was forced, kill for the party? You know, the goal was non-lethal. But if that guy was landing the dagger in my back, I feel like Venture has the highest morals of the group.
Yeah, I mean, that we've seen so far.
Wow. Probably low bar, though.
He hasn't had an opportunity to show his low morals yet.
I haven't tampered with crime scenes. I haven't ditched my fiance shortly before their marriage. I mean, low bar.
Low bar.
I don't know. That's a really tough question. Probably because his hand's forced, as in your question, his hand's forced. He won't enjoy it, though. I'll tell you that.
He didn't feel big and strong in combat with his book.
No, he was very scared.
Yeah.
He did good.
I would have hid in the dark, too, if I thought about doing that.
If they weren't trying to actively kill me.
Like, do you think Renshaw would take up the protector rule, or he's very much like...
He ran from his first fight.
He did run from his
Well, there was no one to protect there.
There was
Sure.
myself and the rest of my household that was in the house with the Depraved.
Yeah, and you went and you warned the guards. That was a safe thing to do.
He's probably going to kill somebody, but he won't enjoy it. And it'll probably be to protect. Victoria.
Okay.
Shocking.
Shocking.
Do you plan on informing your dad about your decision to leave the Scion ship and fiance. Do any of the near brushes with death lead to any regrets with your leaving?
Or
Your
breaking up with your
In terms of talking to my father, I have absolutely zero plans of telling him anything. He's just gonna have to find that out when he gets back home. But I have absolutely no date or time on when he's gonna get back home. So maybe all of this will clear up by the time he gets back, and then he'll never be mad about it because it never happened.
You're just gonna cross that bridge. When
I'll
it gets-
cross that bridge when it gets there. I didn't
Wow.
even tell my mom, and she lives in the city.
She's gotta know.
She
gotta know.
absolutely knows, but I did not confront her about it. But she does, yeah, she knows. But I didn't talk to her about it. I just kind of ran from my problems.
Sure.
And I am not gonna tell my dad because he's not in the city. Do I have any regrets so far after all the near-death experiences? I would say no. Oriana's not feeling any like regrets, but she is feeling more passionate about the events that have happened. And she is feeling more like there's a lot of emotions going on. I think she's feeling like more angered and, like I said, more passionate about things. But I don't think regret is the right word. So no.
Brutal.
He wrote you letters.
He wrote me letters. Aubrey, how does Eleanor feel about her dad taking the initiative to get her into the dangerous forest, especially now that we're tracking our own depraved like within the city, and you kind of don't really even need to go into the forest anymore. And also now you see how dangerous it is.
I know, like, maybe don't even have to take that risk.
You just don't have to do that.
Eleanor would have been so fucking excited to hear about that 3 days ago.
Just days ago. Yeah.
3 days ago.
Yeah.
That would like it's kind of like when you get a gift, but it's like something that like you don't really want anymore, but like you would have wanted.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, like, yeah, I used to be really into trains, but that's not really my thing anymore. But it's like, thank you for this gift. She very much so wants to take the risk and go into the woods if they'd let her and like see it. And she's very intrigued. She's also very trusting of like, if the proper people are around her, like they will protect her. Like these combat situations have been scary, but they've also been like, I mean, obviously manufactured by John, but like to her, they have been like coincidentally happening in times where the guards just like weren't around for that because of like accident and, you know, like luck of fate or whatever.
Yeah.
So like for her, she's like, if we go out to the woods, I'm going to have like all of these rangers. I can bring my guards. Like this is a safe excursion to see the scary monster. Like I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, well, do I still go? I mean, I think she's gonna. If they take her,
How do you
she's
turn it down?
How do you turn it down? Yeah, like
your dad pulled some serious strings.
Yeah.
John.
Yes.
What was it like playing May after Eleanor's Nat 20?
Oh,
Did you plan for her to be there and appear in this episode?
I did not necessarily expect May to be here. I expected her to come a little bit down the road, particularly because she was kind of tied. She was looking for this book. And normally when I had it planned, that book was going to be in the library, the Sophos Librum, and not in the Temple of Ryan, just kind of based on what they curate. But with the Nat 20, I was like, it's not impossible for it to be here. And like that's what a Nat 20 does. Is like you just happen to get the perfect luck. It's a mixer of luck and skill. And the book happened to be here,
and it still made sense.
And it still made sense. And I was like, no, like this is what happened. And May was the things around May allowed her to be there at the time. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I was excited. I had her planned. I had that encounter planned out. I didn't know if it was going to come this early, but I was excited. One, because I love it when you guys find information. And so I was so excited you're going to get the book and then get to meet May.
Was May going to rip a page no matter where we found her?
I guess the only way she wasn't going to rip the page was if you let her like take the whole book.
We do not have access to that page yet.
Yeah, she was ripping that page no matter what.
She needed that page for her own stuff.
Yeah,
and she didn't. I mean, granted, she could have ripped the page you guys could have initiated combat, beat her in combat, and taken the page, and like it would have kind of caused a scene. Just three highborns just beating up a lady in the restricted section is kind of is an event. But like, yeah, like you certainly could have gone.
That's where Renshore's low morals come in. He's like, but she ripped a page. I can pick her up. That would have been where
she rips the page and just pulls out a knife. You're like, whoa, you beat that other guy with a book. And he's like, yeah, dude, like, sorry, you've committed crimes.
My personal conflict with May is that I can't tell if she's supposed to be like an enemy or just like a complex side character. But she's giving Mommy Strider, and so I want her to be a friend.
Tori, throwing it back to you.
Me.
Oriana has a lot of leads on the cult of Cinderfall right now. What do you think is to Oriana like the most pressing lead that you're like, I need more information about it?
Yeah, I feel like you gave me a lot of good leads to go off of, and like every session I'm like writing more leads down. I'm trying to figure out, which one am I going to go first? And then we got to the Temple of Ryan, and there was that whole like mage encounter, and immediately you gave me a personal connection to a lead, and now that's the only thing I'm attached to.
Gotcha.
Is like following that mage who's now in like Black Tomb, getting an interrogation done with her, figuring out why they were there, who they are, why they were following Renshaw, like following this whole person, this whole like combat encounter that we had, like, is suddenly the biggest thing. She like suddenly forgot everything else that has happened, like all the other leads. I mean, I have them written down, but like the second you tie something personal to it, like, I mean, you made it personal.
Sure.
And so now she's stuck on that one. Still speaking about the Temple of Ryan, how did Renshaw feel watching the mage in the library use her sphere? Were you feeling like the magic was dangerous, or was it making him excited to learn how to use his own sphere and use that own magic?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
So Renshaw is fully aware of the danger of the little rock he possesses. It terrifies him. Mm-hmm. It's partially why he has delayed attempting to use it before fully understanding it, because he doesn't want to just, blow himself, his house, the city, sky high.
Sure.
Or attract a Depraved.
Can they be attracted to spheres?
That's why it was banned.
The magic. That's the whole reason it's banned. Because the magic attracts Depraved.
That's terrifying. But yeah, he is aware of the dangers. He witnessed the dangers
of them casting that fire knife, and Renshaw being like, wow, that's pretty sick. And then it starts coming towards him, and he's like, oh no.
That was a really cool spell, though.
That was. I don't think that was your
school. It's not.
So do you think Renshaw is now more excited to learn the sphere, or more hesitant to learn his sphere?
Renshaw is more excited to do it properly, to protect and fight those who use it improperly.
Thank you for your very PR.
Yeah.
Media trained answer.
All I'm hearing is he is more excited to use it, and that's a fine answer.
That's a fine answer.
I mean, we made all this magical legal so that it was more fun to do.
Renshaw is also very concerned about becoming a mage and scaring Oriana further away.
I was just about to say that, because I don't think we understood. I don't think our characters knew Oriana's that beef with the mages until yesterday.
You saw her just go crazy on one of them.
I didn't go crazy on one. I tried to restrain them so they can stop doing the magic.
I like to think that that's what you say, but if you were in there, you would have watched Oriana tackle this person and just start stabbing them.
Okay, let's get away from the Temple of Ryan. John.
Yes.
Where'd you get the inspiration for the bells around the city?
When we first started coming up with the city, we were trying to find things that like really had a wow factor to it. Every time I did research on like Gothic architecture, you always get like bell towers and the sound of bells. And I was like, oh, that's very like staple Gothic horror, like the sound of ringing bells. Yeah. And so I wanted to make that not just like a ambiance, but also like part of the story. Now we have these bells of abundance, they like that weird like warped noise, the weird voices that you hear. I was like, oh, it creeped me out, and so it made me happy. Jake, have you been making any progress in your grandsire's journal? And what aspects do you think Renshaw has been focusing on?
Are you asking?
He's asking above table.
Are you asking? Yeah, like genuinely, because you want to know because we're friends, or are you asking so you know as a GM, like where to fuck, where to.
So the
where to
first
tread?
part of the question is me as friends trying to make sure that
Okay.
I make a good fun thing for my buddy Jake, and the second thing is me as a GM being like, what's Renshaw looking at? What's he thinking about? But yeah, as your friend, is the journal good? Did we do
So
good?
it's a good puzzle.
Okay.
Like all good puzzles, I want to give up. Like there's some kind of cipher on the symbols that I guess it's a language my grandsire invented. I cannot figure it out. There's no spaces in any of the words. It's just like a wall
Yeah.
of symbols. So like I can't even like try and figure out like an ing or a the.
Yeah.
Like I can't brute force it. So I need to find the key
You
somewhere.
need something else.
I've noticed that there's like 27 later segments scattered around. I just got to figure out what that means.
Yeah. I will say that puzzle in particular is like the solution to that puzzle is like incredibly campaign like plot relevant. Like that will be a like
Oh, we're just not there yet.
yeah, that'll be
Okay.
a huge bombshell when you get to that. And so like I think the way that it's written, you can start solving a couple of them if you solve the riddle, and the riddle will give you a couple of the symbols. Like it's like if you're able to write the answer to the riddle over in the spot, you can figure out what a couple of the symbols are. But that's not like it's not enough to solve the whole thing. What do you think Renshaw is focusing on in the book? Like, is he more focused on like his grandsire's history, or is he more focused on like the magic side of it?
I think he wants to be focused on the magic side, but he is scared. Going back, he is scared of the dangers, and he wants to fully understand what he's getting into.
Yeah.
Before he starts waving his hands around while holding
That's
this big old rock.
That is so funny to me because when you pitched the idea, I was like, oh, Jake's the person who will touch a cursed magic object just to know what the curse is. Like
Every campaign.
he's gonna
Every
cast spells just to see if the sphere explodes. Like that's Jake's personality. So it's so funny that Renshaw is very different from that. Like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, you said you'd kill us.
Yeah.
Last time. Yeah.
We told John to not be a softie and to kill us, like to make it hard.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
I don't know, Oriana, you
He's
only
good.
dealt like 2 hit points
I
to her.
can't hurt all of you all the time.
I know.
I can only hurt you emotionally,
Yeah, it's
Eleanor physically, and Renshaw is pretty on it right now. I haven't got to Renshaw yet. I could attempt to kill him.
Oriana hurts Renshaw.
And
There you go. I use you for.
He's going through it.
Aubrey, are you worried about further accusations that the young Miss Squatchins was murdered by House Quillen? In kind of explanation-y, less follow-up question, do you think Maximilian told other people?
Here's my thing. As long as people don't think it was a ritual murder, like, as a count, I can get away with murder.
Where are you going with
like,
this?
no, but like
I'll just kill Max.
I know
It's
it
easy.
makes you uncomfortable, but we are in fantasy times, and I am a family with high position of power. There are only 12 counts in the entire House Blacksbane, and she is one of them. She is one of the 12 most powerful people. She's not that worried about like this guard being like, you killed my sister. Now, if any type of runic or archaic magic is tied to it, that's where she's running into issues, which is why she hid the evidence.
It's all coming together.
Follow-up. I had actually prepared 2 questions to ask you.
Oh, okay.
The second one was without like having actually written it down, because I decided
Mhm.
not to ask you this one. But it was basically along the lines of, you've gotten away with so many things because of your status. How far would you go? Thank you for already answering that. Murder,
You
actually.
could get away with murder, as the expression goes. Like you
Yeah.
could ruin their life with just the paper and like just discredit
Yeah,
them.
I do
Like
control the news and media. Like, I have a character who can very easily become, like, corrupted villain.
How are you the biggest villain of the campaign?
you could sway public opinion really easily. And so if this guy's like, yeah.
So far, she's more dangerous than Nell.
Seriously.
Oh, sure. I mean,
Victoria.
bum, bum, bum.
There was a bit more revealed to Oriana's backstory at the Temple of Orion, and those wisdom checks, including what seemed at first products of her own fear, but then very tangible, shadowy hands that grappled both the mage and Renshaw. Does Oriana know she is the cause of them? And is this a form of magic coming unwittingly from her, or something else has this power?
Whoa.
It's a deep question. There's a lot
heavy
to
question.
unpack there. So there's only so much I can say about it. But Oriana does know that this is tied to her, that they were there because she was there. But in terms of like control and how like the mechanics work for it is yet to be seen or like understood yet. And so I don't want to get too deep into it because it is
Yeah.
a fully loaded question. But Oriana is well aware that like she's the reason that they showed up. Did you always have the encounter in the library planned, or did we do something specific to trigger it?
Those people were going to come for Renshaw, I guess no matter what.
Even if I was just home by myself?
If you went home after the ceremony,
I mean, if you went home, I don't know if they could have got in your house. But like if you were like, I want to go to the atrium by myself, they would have came for you in the atrium by yourself. Yeah. Or if like the three of you went to like the museum or the hospital or like the jail, like if you guys went somewhere else, that encounter could have happened in other places. And it definitely would have looked different because we wouldn't have had the priests, but we would have had probably some other NPC. As my final question to everybody, what is something that was part of the campaign that surprised you? I can start to give you guys a moment to think. Something that I've definitely always struggled with, where I'm like, all right, if we need to hit something, I have to get them there. In this campaign, I was really trying to reel back from that, and I was shocked on how many things I was like, all right, like we're just gonna hope happens, and you guys like make such good like storytelling decisions that like it happens exactly the way my notes are written.
I think I'm most surprised. I know we built there to be a large quantity of like viscounts and counts and like people to talk to, but I think I'm just blown away by like when we got the list, you're like at the ball and like going now like open world, like what do you want to do? I'm like, there's so many people we can talk to. There's so many things that we can do. Like the world, like I know that we built it, but I'm still surprised by like how large the world is.
I mean, my answer is basically the same as Tori's. I remember early on, I wanted a city that's open world. It feels like there's a lot to do. It's very immersive. You can just live in this city as a regular peasant and not like want. And yet we left the ceremony of the bells and it was like, what are we doing? Because we could do anything. We had the shops built, we had the people built, we had the roads built, like we have the city built. We could have gone and played games at a casino. We could have gone drinking or smoking or done weird drugs in some basement.
You could have gone to the milk house.
No, we couldn't have.
We will at some point.
We will.
We could have gone to some old ass cathedral that was haunted by a monster. Like, we could have done anything.
I think for me, one of the biggest, like, kind of surprising is that we did build so much ahead of time, but then watching, like, the different facets that we didn't see. So, especially, like, obviously we knew Oriana and we've been building, like working with Tori on these things for Oriana for so long. But like seeing this like shadowy tendril hand like come out, like that's something that we had no idea about. And so I like we'll keep turning over these new leaves where it's like we know a lot of the city, which helps because our characters grew up in the city and know it. But like that or the plot, we had no idea what the general plot was going to be,
That's a good
especially
answer.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
So like this whole murder mystery, like that's something that John, as the GM fully has concocted, and we have been following these trails.
Yeah, my investigation I think is like -1 or 0 because I never expected to use it.
Yeah, like all we knew is we were going into a ball.
Yeah.
That was it.
With that, I think it is time to roll for our next host.
Oh, don't be me.
What are our host numbers?
Yeah, so Aubrey is a 1, Jake is a 2, you are a 3,
3.
and I'm a 4. But if I roll a 4, I'm gonna re-roll.
You reroll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we? If we roll a 1, can Aubrey be the next host? Are we doing it that way?
Yep.
Okay. Deal. So here we go.
But you can roll a 2 or 3.
That is a 3.
It's me.
And it's you.
Ooh.
You will be our next. You will be our next host for
The next Innsight.
the next Innsight, hopefully coming in a couple episodes. Well, if you enjoyed Innsight or you want to know all the stuff we're talking about the City of Shadows, be sure to like and subscribe so you see when new episodes come out and watch the old ones and get caught up. But until we meet again over another round at the 4 Rings Inn.
Woo!